Good evening. I'm Greg Fenves, President of the University of Texas at Austin, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the commencement for the Dell Medical School class of 2020. To the graduates and your families, this is not how we imagined your commencement would look when this inaugural class arrived in 2016, or even 3 months ago. The COVID-19 crisis has brought our world to a standstill, and as a result, some of our most anticipated plans have had to evolve, including this landmark celebration. Yet with all of the changes our society has had to make, something else has happened as well. A light has been shined on the medical profession like never before, and people are seeing firsthand the essential work, the heroism, and the selflessness of all dedicated doctors and healthcare professionals in our nation. So although there is less pomp and circumstance tonight, we truly understand that the 49 graduates we are celebrating are our greatest hope at a time of unprecedented need. And for that reason, this virtual commencement could not be any more significant. Now, our graduates have benefited from the leadership of a dean whose innovative spirit and brilliance has elevated every aspect of this school, including the recruitment of an exceptional group of faculty and staff. So I want to give a big thank you to Dean Garrett Johnson for making the Dell Medical School into one of the most premier med schools in the country. I also want to thank Senator Kirk Watson for having such a strong vision for healthcare in Austin, as well as the people of Travis County for coming together to invest and help create our new medical school just under 8 years ago. And I want to thank Michael and Susan Dell, who stepped in at a critical moment and transformed this medical school from our vision into this reality. Thank you, Michael and Susan, as well as all of the generous donors and partners who have supported this medical school and enabled it to thrive in so many different ways. Now, a lot of credit for Dell Med's remarkable rise should also go to Executive Vice Dean of Academics and Chair of the Department of Medical Education, Dr. Sue Cox, for developing a groundbreaking curriculum that has positioned our graduates to become leaders in their field. Thank you, Sue. And to all the parents, family members, and friends of our graduates, I want to thank you each and every one of you for tirelessly supporting these students as they grew, developed, and committed themselves to the unique community-focused mission of this school over the past 4 years. Thank you so much. Hippocrates wrote, "Conclusions which are merely verbal cannot bear fruit. Only those do which are based on demonstrated fact." Later this evening, the graduates of the class of 2020 will take their own Hippocratic Oath, which contains a set of solemn guidelines for their careers and lives as doctors. But the specific words of Hippocrates that I just repeated about drawing your own conclusions from fact and experience feel particularly appropriate for this class. You have learned by doing, by practicing, by understanding what works, what doesn't, what your patients need, and what you need to serve them best. That's the kind of education the Dell Medical School has given you, and now it's your turn to decide what comes next. I'm certain it will be nothing short of extraordinary. I remember attending your white coat ceremony in 2016, and I can't believe these 4 years have gone by so quickly. I couldn't be prouder to celebrate you now as you graduate and go on to change the world as doctors, the first medical doctors in the history of the University of Texas at Austin. To the class of 2020, my sincere congratulations on this monumental achievement. Now, your keynote speaker is someone I mentioned a few moments ago. His name will always be synonymous with the healthcare revolution that is taking place in Austin. Just under a decade ago, he laid out an ambitious vision for the future of health in our city and state, and then he went to work and made it a reality. That man, of course, is Senator Kirk Watson, and it is my privilege to welcome him now as your keynote speaker.
Hi, everyone. It is one of my greatest honors to be with you, even virtually, for this special occasion. This is an enormous moment for each of you, and it's an enormous moment for me and for our community that wanted this medical school. Thank you for letting me participate and giving me this chance. And I want to say thanks to Dean Johnston and Dr. Sue Cox and all of the other wonderful leaders who got us all here. This doesn't feel anything like any of us imagined it would. It's been more than 3 months since the coronavirus began making its terrible mark on our history. You all know it so well, better than most folks do. Thanks for all you've done during this extraordinary time. And while we didn't imagine this sort of commencement ceremony, we did imagine, we even expected certain elements. We expected that you all would make it to this point. We expected you to be setting out for futures filled with service and hope. Hope for yourselves and hope for those you'll serve. And we expected to be this proud of you. When I had the chance to speak at your white coat ceremony, at Dell Medical School's first ever white coat ceremony, I told you then that I was energized and excited by your enthusiasm to do good. I still am. And as I think of where you are today and where you're headed, I realize that COVID-19, this pandemic, has in an interesting way helped reveal and highlight a gift that each of you enjoy. You find fulfillment in helping people be happy. You want happiness for others. You feel it and you work at it. You have the souls and spirit of servants. Servants who are fulfilled emotionally when you succeed, even for people you've never met and will never know. And you understand, or at least you sense it on a pretty fundamental level, maybe instinctively, that good health is the threshold to happiness. Without your health, the very quality of just living changes, not to mention life lost because of poor health. Serving in this way is an act of love, and it's as noble as it can be. Indeed, I submit that your desire to provide happiness through good health, your gift, is evidence of your calling and how that calling should manifest itself. For me, a passage of scripture that my father made sure I read way back when I was in college, Romans 12, verses 4 through 8, has helped me appreciate how you're called. It says, "For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully." This scripture helped me as a young person to try to assess my desires, my strengths, the gifts that Paul references, and then to try to do right with them, whatever they are. I've always seen a person's calling in the gifts you've been given. We're called to seek our purpose, to play our parts, and to trust that our gifts will be amplified when others play their parts appropriately. Now, your gifts are many. You're smart, you have leadership skills, you have drive, you're enthusiastic to do good, and there are also a lot of other enviable qualities. But simply following one's desires or perceived gifts and strengths doesn't make you a servant any more than words create actions. To get things done requires urgency. My urgency was manifest over 25 years ago when I was in my early 30s and I was told that I had metastatic cancer. And this pandemic, a crisis anchored in illness, in loss of life, in unhappiness, this pandemic has emphasized how the path you're on should be all about urgency. The urgency of protecting, enhancing, extending the quality of life and life itself. There's a reason it's cliche to say life is short. And this current journey we're on reminds us every day how short it is. Of course, there's a gift in that as well. Among other things, it enhances empathy for those who suffer and have unfulfilled needs. And it can bring the feelings of joy in preventing illness, curing someone, improving another's condition, or extending their life. And there's a gift in simply appreciating and understanding urgency. Every minute we waste is gone. You all know that. In one sense, you feel it with every human contact you make. You're not here just to be here. You're here because there are things you're compelled to accomplish, and you may have very little time to accomplish them. If pursuing our gifts, strengths, and desires is what we're supposed to do, then urgency is how it gets done. But what is it? What gets done? What do we do? Calling and urgency make us servants. But what does that look like? Priorities give shape to our service. It's easy to say you've prioritized people. That seems obvious, doesn't it? Of course you do, or you wouldn't be here at all. But I ask you to make your priority more than that general statement. Generally saying you prioritize people seems more like a philosophy to me, a good one, but a philosophical point of view, not an active priority. Please make your priorities more real, more immediate, more personal. The woman or man looking at you, calling on you in an urgent way, has her whole life, whatever that might be, ahead of her. The priority is the person relying on you. But not just that single person, of course. Your work on behalf of that one individual will touch other individuals counting on that person. Her loved ones, her children, her family. Their whole lives are ahead of them too. And your work to lead in the improvement of the system that assures better health, while work on a generalized system translates into value for the individuals you prioritize. While those individuals may not be of our actual immediate family, may not be our children or our grandchildren, they are all our family. Though they are many, we are members of the same body. and each member belongs to all the others. They are ours, we are theirs. The philosophy that I mentioned, it gains life when the individuals, those individuals with all of their special gifts, are one. What will your actions mean to those dear, precious, essential people? Our priorities must be driven by their effects on each of our people. That's how priorities, exercised in good faith, lead good servants to the common good. So I end where I started, and my recognition of your special gift, your special spirit that compels service in the pursuit of personal fulfillment by helping people be happy by being healthy. I thank you so much for your profound sense of commitment to giving yourself in this way. I've told you more than once, going back as far as the first time I got to talk to you, I told you that as a graduate of Dell Medical School, and that's particularly true as an inaugural graduate, you personify the dreams and the vision of many, many people. You create hope. You're all called to do your best, to do the right thing, and to try not to waste time doing it. Please, let that be your legacy. I'm so fortunate to have been a small part of your pursuit. And I'm also fortunate to be able to have my dream of where that pursuit will continue to take you. So again, congratulations to each and all of you. And thank you for the honor of letting me get to say that to you in this way. Thanks again to Dean Johnson, Sue Cox, and other UT and Dell Med leaders who have taken on the job of getting us to this point of this joyful, celebratory time. And thank you to the voters of Travis County who envisioned and invested in your gifts so that others might benefit. We are indeed all one. God bless you. I wish you great good luck and happiness for yourselves. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Thank you.
Before I say anything, I want to clarify, this is not a virtual graduation. This is a real graduation. Real diplomas will be delivered, and you all, our class, will be becoming real doctors, not student doctors, and no more need to pretend. You will be real doctors when we're done today. Also, I want to be clear that we are not practicing social distancing. We are practicing physical distancing. Yes, we must. It's a COVID-19 world. But we hope that socially we are coming together today, that we're closer today than we have been over the last few weeks, couple months. I want to acknowledge and thank Senator Watson, first for his wonderful comments today, but even more important than that, for all the work that he's done to bring us all here today. So the medical school really wouldn't be possible without Senator Watson's vision and his extremely hard work and his incredible political acumen to actually bring a med school to life in Austin, to bring the community behind it. And he's been wonderful support to us through the years. Shame that we're losing him as a politician, but wonderful that he's becoming like myself and a dean of a new school, the public policy school at University of Houston. And I also want to thank President Finvis. I wouldn't be here without him. He recruited me, and he's been by our side at the med school since we began. No one understands us better than he does, and he's been a wonderful advocate for us as we've grown through the years. I'm gonna personally miss him dearly, and we will miss his advocacy and his support. But he's moving on to a big new position as president of Emory University. As Senator Watson said, you all have a calling. I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but there's some other ceremonial things that we should call you to first. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present to you our inaugural graduating class, Dell Medical School's class of 2020. Please join me in applause.
Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jonathan Lopez. I'm from Humble, Texas, and I'm a member of the illustrious and highly favored Dell Medical School class of 2020. This is where I would pause for applause, but I'll forgive you if you don't. Thank you for being here today, wherever here may be. I hope you don't mind that I've decided to read my remarks, both for your sake and mine. Never before have I had a literal captive audience, and so I thought it prudent not to abuse that power by going off the cuff. So I'll stick to the script, I promise. Before I begin, I would be remiss not to use this time as an opportunity to extend thanks. Thank you to my wonderful families, the Lopezes, the Schmidts, the Azars, the Fernias, who showed me kindness and generosity that I seldom deserved. I'd like to shout out my beautiful fiancée, Anna, who patiently put up with me all 4 years here, and I hope will choose to do so in the future. To my grandfather, Miguel, who supported me, my mother, Sylvia, my stepfather, my brothers and sisters, my esteemed donors and benefactors, and to everyone who has made this journey possible. I say thank you, but not just them. If you're listening to this, you too, in some way are owed thanks. Whether it was offering your time and wisdom teaching us, being a shoulder to cry on, answering the phone at 1 a.m. to hear us vent, whether it was financial or emotional support, whatever it is, on behalf of all my classmates, thank you. You know, when I sat down to write out this speech, I had a genuinely hard time. I think that would come to surprise to those of you who know me, who have rarely seen, but have often wished for me to be at a loss of words. So I did what any millennial might. I Googled it. I read that with speeches, there were 2 rules. 1, you have to tell a story. And 2, the message was supposed to be heartfelt, honest, even inspirational. Inspiring, I said, well, that's not really my forte. Heck, with the quarantine, I can rarely inspire myself to get out of bed before noon. So I've settled on being honest and heartfelt, because if there is anything I can speak truthfully and passionately about, it is how much this school has meant to my classmates and I. But I will try and tell a story. When I was in elementary school, in science class, we were sent home with these little pots of dirt as a project. We were encouraged to plant seeds in them so that we could grow something of our very own. For almost a month, I suffocated that pot with seeds, watered it every day. Nothing happened. Nothing came of it, not even an inkling of a sprout. Suffice it to say, I took it personally. So I took it down to the garden center, about a block from my childhood home, and I brought it to the man who worked there, and I said, what gives? Are these seeds bad? What am I doing wrong? He looked at the pot, he scooped up the dirt with his fingers and kind of ran it between there, inspecting it very closely, and he said, finally, no, nothing's wrong with the seeds, it's the soil that's bad. And he sent me on my way with a little bag of Miracle Grow, and wouldn't you know it, about a few weeks later, I had basically trees growing out of that pot. But hold on to that story for a minute for me. I want to impart with you some history first. When Dean Johnson interviewed myself and other members of the class of 2020, it wasn't in the beautiful building that you see in the brochures now, but actually from inside the business school right here on the main campus. And during those interview days, we were promised a great number of things should we choose Dell, namely a new hospital, a new school, and a new curriculum, none of which had been built yet. In retrospect, that's kind of wild. I've heard of fate moving mountains, but I've never heard of it picking up a hammer and building whole buildings. But we listened, eagerly, not for the promise of what became all those fine and beautiful things, but because of the vision that was shared with us, the creation of an inclusive health ecosystem that sought to revolutionize how patients seek and how providers give patient-centered care. Everywhere else in the country, as interviewees, institution after institution would tell us that we would be great clinicians if we went to their schools, and that's true. The intellect I've seen firsthand from my classmates makes me confident to the utmost that they would have been successful anywhere they went. But all those other schools, with their prestigious names and impressive alumni, are focused on making the perfect seeds. The promise that we bought into at Dell was not just to crowd the pot with the best seeds, but to fundamentally change the soils around them, to be a catalyst for change that would allow us to make a difference in our environments, our ecosystems, in order to outgrow the status quo. That's a promise that brought us together, and I'm so proud of the way this school and our students have delivered. What my classmates have accomplished, academically, clinically, in the local communities, nationally, whatever it is, it humbles me greatly. And for me to stand on this stage and count myself among the class of 2020 is truly an honor, and I mean that. Thank you for all that you've done. I'd like to directly address my classmates now. You all know I'm a sappy guy, and so it was cruel of you to put me up here so that I could turn into a puddle in front of everybody. I hope that you will always fondly recall our time together, whether it was Frisbee Fridays, 40-acre feud, or nights on the town. Or maybe we're just sitting in our respective lounges, complaining about boards or god-awful vegetarian sandwiches on Doc's nights. Yes, there are rough spots for each of us, some rougher than others, but whatever our trials and tribulations, in the end we were all here, ready to set off on another road and another adventure. Know that I in earnest love each and every one of you, and I'm so sorry that we couldn't be together to celebrate in person. We are going out into a very different world than just a few months ago, one that will challenge us physically, mentally, and emotionally more than ever before. But I am sure, as is everyone watching, and I'm supremely confident in your ability not just to overcome, but to excel, as you have done your whole life. Never hesitate to call on me or one of the other members of the class of 2020, because whatever happens, we are still irrevocably part of the Dell Med family. Thank you. I would now like to take this time to invite the Executive Vice Dean of Academics, Dr. Sue Cox, to lead our class and clinicians joining us virtually as we recite the Hippocratic Oath.
Graduating doctors, it's now time for us to recite the Dell Med version of the Hippocratic Oath. Please repeat after me. I swear to fulfill.
I swear to fulfill.
Swear to fulfill.
To the best of my ability and judgment.
To the best of my ability and judgment.
To the best of my ability and judgment.
This pledge.
This pledge.
This pledge.
I will respect the autonomy, dignity, and privacy.
I will respect the autonomy, dignity, and privacy.
The autonomy, dignity, and privacy.
I will practice my profession with conscience.
Autonomy, dignity, and privacy of my practice and with conscience.
Practice my profession with conscience.
In accordance with best practice.
In accordance with
best medical practice.
Yes.
I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science.
I will
remember that there's an art to medicine as well as
Science.
And that warmth, sympathy, and understanding.
And in accordance with warmth, sympathy, and understanding.
May outweigh the benefits of surgery and medications.
Outweigh the benefits of surgery and medication.
Science.
I will not permit bias, prejudice, or other societal constraints.
And that warmth, that sympathy, and understanding.
Permit bias, prejudice, and
societal constraints.
May outweigh the benefits of surgery and medication.
Impact
my responsibility
to my patient.
And I will be vigilant in addressing
permit
health
bias,
inequities.
prejudice, or other systems.
I will be vigilant in addressing health inequities.
I will avoid the traps of overtreatment.
I will avoid
the traps of overtreatment.
And advocate for those without access.
And advocate for those without access.
I will always put
addressing health inequities.
I will always put patients and their families
ahead of personal economic gain.
I will
ahead of personal
economic
gain.
And advocate for those without access.
I will prevent disease and promote health.
I will
prevent disease and promote health.
prevent disease and promote health.
I will advance health in my community.
I will advance health in my community. Economic
Beyond
gain.
the
I
walls
will
of the clinic and
advance
hospital.
health in my community.
Walls of the clinic and hospital.
I will collaborate with all members of the healthcare team
And promote health. Collaborate with all members of the healthcare team.
Collaborate with all members of the
I will
healthcare
advance
team.
health in my community.
provide comprehensive care to my patients and community.
To provide
comprehensive care to my patients and community.
I will recognize the limits of my knowledge and skill
I will recognize the limits of my knowledge and skill
and seek the help of others when needed.
And seek the help of others when needed.
comprehensive care to my
Will
patients
work
and
to
community.
improve the quality
Okay.
and safety of the healthcare
Okay.
system
I will work to improve the quality and safety
of the healthcare system
through innovation, collaborative leadership, and teamwork.
and through innovation, collaborative leadership,
and teamwork.
I will attend to my own health, well-being, and abilities.
I will attend to my own health,
being, and abilities. The
In
healthcare
order to
system.
provide care of the highest standard.
Okay.
in order to provide
care
of the highest standard. Innovation, collaborative leadership, and teamwork.
If I do not violate this oath, I will live honored knowing
If I do not violate this oath, I will live honored knowing
that I have returned to society
That I have returned to society
Eddie.
great investment and trust it has placed in me.
the great
great
investment
investment
it has
placed
in me.
placed in me.
And me.
Congratulations, Dell Medical School graduates of 2020.
So first of all, I want to congratulate the class of 2020. There will never be another first class at Dell Medical School. Now, as I was thinking about this, they talk about the University of Texas as being a university of the first class. Well, if you'll forgive me, Dell Medical School is a school of the first class, and that has been brought to us by the wonderful achievements of this class that really emblemize what it is that we've been trying to do at the school, and not just to ourselves, but to our community. In the remarkable achievement of this class and of being the never to be gotten first class comes at this really unique moment in history where never before have we seen how important it is to have physicians, to have the clinicians at the front line caring for people. We've seen how important those roles are, how we've had a lot of healthcare providers get sick and some die. But in making those sacrifices and the emotional toll that comes with it, we've also seen just how critical we are to society. Part of that is being caring and being wonderful clinicians first. And I know you all will be those wonderful clinicians. But also in this very strange time, it's being able to do things in a new way, being able to figure things out on the fly, being able to deal with crises creatively, thoughtfully, collaboratively to come up with solutions and better ways forward. And I've been really proud of us as a school and how we've done that in this community, working closely with our partners, the hospital systems, and not just our own primary partner system and Seton Ascension, but also the others, and with Austin Public Health, the mayor's office, the county judge. The students have been a big part of that. In some ways, just in doing the contact tracing around the cases that we've had, really stepping up and being part of the team that's cared for patients with COVID-19. But also coming up with some of the solutions that are being implemented on a community-wide basis. And, Good Apple, a student founded and run organization that delivers healthy food to people who can't afford it and who shouldn't be leaving their homes, is one example of that. Delivering on a really important need in our community, recognizing that our work doesn't stop with the individual patient in front of us, but really needs to reach beyond that to thinking about where health really happens, which is often outside of the clinics and hospitals. I know you all uniquely have been trained to do that kind of work, that critical work, and I know you will bring that back to your communities. So we at this ceremony, your teachers, your parents, your significant others, and members of this broader community, we have invested a tremendous amount in you. Your parents, not just financially, but emotionally, have invested a huge amount in you through the years. Your significant others, friends, have sacrificed in terms of your moodiness, your fatigue, your inattention, your distractedness, also. And then from a societal perspective, you are amazing people, right? And you very brilliant people with huge potential. And society has allowed you to go into this profession, the medical profession. In a sense, that represents a real investment in you and in an expectation then that you now need to hold. So yes, as Senator Watson mentioned, this is a calling for you. You wanted to do this. You're excited about it. You want to help other people. We get that, and that is wonderful. And yes, you have contributed a tremendous amount to get here, but recognize also that you have this broader responsibility in how others have supported you to get here. What does that mean? I actually think that creates the most gratifying part of this, of being in this profession. You are stewards of health, not just in individuals, but in society. And we all need to take pride in what you can uniquely bring to your community and consider that as payment to you that is much greater than any financial reward that you could receive. It's a privilege to do what you are now trained to do. It's an honor to have been part of your training, and I congratulate the inaugural class of Dell Med School of 2020. was calling to let you know that we're offering you a spot. Is that a happy noise or?
That's a very happy noise. I don't even know what to say, sir. I could go on and on and on about how excited I am about Dell, and like, you guys are for sure my top choice.
It's going to be a big adventure.
I know. I'm really excited about this.